Good morning everyone! Today I'm going to tell you about some of my favourite storybooks. This year I have started reading all the Roald Dahl storybooks, and I'm going to tell you today my top 5 Roald Dahl books. One of my favourite and probably the most famous Roald Dahl books is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's a story about Charlie Bucket, a very poor and very hungry boy who doesn't have any money and can't afford even to buy food. And one day, maybe, he will win a ticket to the chocolate factory, and it is the most magical and amazing chocolate factory in the world. But you'll have to read the book to find out what really happens. My next favourite book is this one. It's called Danny, the Champion of the World. It is a story about Danny and his dad, and they are best friends. They live at the end of a very mean man's forest. This mean man is called Mr. Hazel, and he is very horrible to Danny and his dad. This is Mr. Hazel here. So, Danny and his dad decide they're going to go to Mr. Hazel's forest and try to take away Mr. Hazel's pheasants. A pheasant is a type of bird. So they go there and they try and take all of Mr. Hazel's pheasants because he loves these pheasants so much and he treats them like an object, but really these are wonderful, brilliant animals. Okay? So you'll have to read the book to find out what happens at the end. My third favourite Roald Dahl book is this one. It is called Boy, Tales of Childhood. And this is a autobiographical story about Roald Dahl. That means that Roald Dahl wrote this book about his life when he was a child. So this is Roald Dahl. And when he was a young child, he used to play many tricks on some of his friends or some people that were mean to him. And he talks about all the interesting things that happened at the start of his life. You can see him here. This is Roald Dahl riding a bicycle when he was a boy. It tells you about his journey to school. This is Roald Dahl and his family. At Roald Dahl's school, he was very naughty. He was a naughty boy, and he used to get hit by the teachers if he was too naughty. And he remembers every single time that he got the cane from his teachers because it was such a terrible experience for him. So he talks about his experiences at school and what it was like for him to be a naughty boy 50 or 60 or 70 years ago, a long time ago. He also got bullied, so children used to make him go to the toilet and warm up the toilet seat for him. So it's a very interesting story about Roald Dahl's experience at school. My second favourite Roald Dahl book is probably his second most well-known book as well. It's called Matilda. Now, Matilda is the story of a very smart young girl. She is smart, but she has parents that don't care about her. All her parents care about is money. Her dad sells cars, but really he is a criminal. He breaks the cars, or he pretends like they're not broken, and he tries to earn lots of money from poor people. So he is not a very nice man. Now, Matilda's mum and dad do not care about reading books. They do not care about school. All they care about is money. So they are very mean to Matilda because Matilda does not care about money. She just cares about school. So one day when Matilda finally goes to school, she meets this person, Miss Trunchbull. Do you think Miss Trunchbull is nice or mean? Miss Trunchbull is a very mean principal. She has to go to this horrible school with Miss Trunchbull. But it is not all bad at the school. Matilda meets a lovely teacher called Miss Honey. Now, Miss Honey really cares about Matilda, and she can tell that Matilda is very smart. So, together, they decide to hatch a plan so that they can address the problems in the school, address the problems with Miss Trunchbull, and try and have some fun along the way. And it is a fantastic story about a very smart little girl named Matilda. The last story, and this is my favourite story, not just my favourite Roald Dahl story, but my favourite storybook in the world. This story is called Going Solo, And it is also autobiographical. So that means it is also about Roald Dahl. He is writing a story about his life. But, can you see, is Roald Dahl a young boy anymore? No, Roald Dahl has grown up and become an adult. And he has to go out into the world, and he lives a very interesting and wonderful and exciting life when he grows up. He leaves school, and Roald Dahl goes to Africa. And in Africa he is working for an oil company, but then when Roald Dahl is in Africa, the war breaks out. That is called World War II. And he has to go and join the Royal Air Force, which means that Roald Dahl has to fly planes and fight in the army, or something very similar to the army. So this is Roald Dahl, who starts flying planes in the war. And I won't tell you all the things that happen because you should read the story yourself, but this is my favourite book of all time, so I'd highly recommend you read Going Solo. So these are my top 5 Roald Dahl books, and if anyone wants to read these books, we have all of them in our school library. We even have some copies that are in Chinese. So if you want to read one of these stories, maybe you want to learn about Roald Dahl's life, or you want to learn about Danny and his relationship with his dad, or you want to learn about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you can maybe also try and get these books in Chinese, because they have also been translated into Chinese. But I think the originals in English are fantastic, and I would recommend them all. But that is all I've got time for. So, goodbye everyone. Bye-bye.